Toni, thank you so much for joining us today.
Total pleasure. Lovely to meet you.
Now, listen, I haven't ugly cried so much since Beaches, right? After watching Miss You Already, I had to not only just leave the cinema, but run to my car and sob like a maniac. How did you handle those days, like turning up to set and having to be so emotional?
Well, I play this woman, Millie, who's pretty ballsy, you know. She's not a victim in any way. And so she kind of deflects any kind of sympathy with a great sense of wit. And she's a fighter, and she's kind of outrageous. She'll do anything. She's a bit of a party animal, and she's very charismatic. So she's not someone who's just going to kind of crumble and collapse into a mess. There are moments where she gets some information and it's just too much where that does happen. And in those circumstances, I think I probably responded the same way you did when you watched the movie.
Originally, though, you were down to play Drew's character. What did one of your mates say to you to make you change your mind?
Yeah, it was my friend Finola, and I was in the show on Broadway where I was playing this kind of sensible, grounded, the character who was holding everything together while everybody else fell apart. And then we were talking about the fact that this film, I was really desperate to make this film, Miss You Already, but it wasn't happening because all the women playing Millie just kept falling out. We couldn't find anyone. She said, well, you always play that kind of character. Why don't you play the hot mess? Why don't you be Millie? And so I rang Catherine, the director, and basically said, I'm going to do this. And once she said it, it was like, yes, of course, this is the way it's meant to be. It was so crazy. And it was like all the stars aligned, because as soon as that happened, everything fell into place.
I love seeing you and Drew together on screen. What was it like working with Drew?
Drew Barrymore is, oh man, I just love her. She's an incredible human. Everybody knows a certain amount about her because she's been in the public eye for so long. But I have to say, she exceeded all expectation. She's so thoughtful, so perceptive, so warm, so generous, so funny, and such a hard worker. And she was just really open to going through this experience together. And I just adore her. I can't imagine having done it with anybody else. We had the time of our lives. We laughed our asses off and we wept together. And I will probably love her forever because it was one of those experiences which was incredibly bonding.
One of the last times you were in Ireland was for Glassland. Now, the Irish always give out about actors doing the Irish accent, right?
As they should.
But you nailed not only the Irish accent, the Teller accent. How?
Well, it wasn't exactly Teller. It was kind of a mixture of someone who'd moved into the city and had been living in Teller. And how did I do it? I shat my pants. I was so petrified. Can you imagine coming here and knowing that that's the case? Oh my God, I worked so hard. And I actually said at one point, I think you should cast a local. I don't think I can get this. But that was before we started. Once you start something, you get out of your head and you are just doing it. And then there's no time to think about it so much because you're just in it. And that's where I feel more comfortable. So.
Toni, how does a girl from Australia make it on the international stage? And not only just make it, have such amazing roles behind her?
The thing that opened a million doors for me was Muriel's Wedding. When that film came up, I come from the western suburbs of Sydney. Nobody in my family does this. They all still pinch themselves. I'm putting one foot in front of the other and it feels kind of normal now, but I still have an amazing sense of gratitude because I didn't grow up this way. This is not a familiar lifestyle, and it's something it was a pipe dream. Anyway, I got this role, Muriel, in Muriel's Wedding, and I didn't even think about it. I was so naive. I just was happy to make the film. I didn't even think about the fact that there would be an audience, let alone the size of audience that there was. And I will forever be indebted to that film. It changed my life in ways that I could never have imagined. It gave me a life, you know.
How many people come up to you now and either recite a line from Muriel or come up, I have to do it, and go, you're terrible, Muriel?
It's very frequent. And it's not annoying. People assume it's going to be annoying. It actually just makes me realise how the film is kind of timeless and it's still important to people and they still relate to it. And, you know, that character of Muriel is kind of a lot of people.
You said somewhere, you know, as I've grown older, my approach to acting has changed. How has it changed?
I think when I was younger, I suppressed a lot, and acting was like this thing I relied on to just release emotion. And I'm less likely to do that now. It still is, and certainly with Miss You Already, it's an incredibly emotional journey that that I went on. But yeah, I don't have that need so much. It's more of, you know, if I love a story, then I'm willing to go there and be open. But I'm a little bit more... No, that's bullshit. I was going to say I'm a little bit more in control of what I'm doing, because I'm not. And I love that about it. I love being out of control. I love that I can be surprised and that something can happen in a day which blows my mind and wasn't expected. That's the exciting part about being an actor for me.
Finally, for anyone who's in rural Australia or rural Ireland or even in a city, in small countries like ours, what advice would you have for them? You know, they want to get into acting but don't know what to do.
I guess there's always community theatre. I know it sounds like a weird start, but at least you can kind of stretch those muscles and be with people who are also interested and have some fun doing it. I think if you're not having fun, forget it. And the other thing is, there'll always be people giving you advice, and I think you know yourself, and I think the best thing you can do is listen to your gut. You know, there's nobody like you, so don't always be swayed by other people and their strong opinions.
Best advice, and I have to say, not only a career highlight, a life highlight meeting you. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're